Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Keeping It Blunt podcast. It's just me and Graham today, or Graham and me today. English. I promise I did well in English. Um, yeah.
Maybe you would be proud.
Um, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe and follow buttons and all of that stuff. Let's just get that out the way. Um,
Follow us on Instagram,
follow us on
please.
Instagram. We'll be here every 2 weeks. Yeah. Chat to us. Tell us what you want to hear. Today we have got a very original podcast idea, Graham. Do you wanna tell them what we're talking about?
We're talking about conspiracy theories. I don't know if you guys have heard of them before.
Nope.
Quite like Dan says, quite an original topic, revolutionary.
We really thought of it
Um,
like we've been planning this for a long time. We spent like a whole half an hour researching.
if that.
Serious effort being put into this one. Um, okay,
But,
should we
I
start with
mean,
it?
or in fairness, like they're not the most. I mean, we've got. I don't know. We're gonna chat about two like actual theories, and I think the rest is the last thing we're chatting about is kind of just
We're just gonna
our
talk.
own
Yeah.
our
Um,
yeah, we're just going to chuck our own theory out there.
well, we might as well actually tell them. So we're going to talk about I don't know if you've heard of it, the conspiracy theory that Walt Disney is frozen under a ride at Disneyland, and
Yep.
they released Frozen to like cover the evidence on the internet. Because
Yeah,
obviously
that actually does like it's it
it,
makes
it
it
makes
like
sense,
it
but we'll get
sounds
there. We'll
quite
get there.
funny.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll explain that later. Then we're going to talk
Yeah.
about the conspiracy theory that Paul McCartney from the Beatles is also dead and has been
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Or,
And if
like
we've still
yeah.
got time after that, we're going to talk about aliens. What we're going to talk about aliens, we have not yet discussed, so we'll see what happens. Stay along for the
We'll
ride.
talk
It's going
about
to be a good time.
everything about aliens.
Yeah.
All the
We
aliens.
might we might be here all day. We might cut it short. We'll see. So let's start. I've got a definition of a conspiracy theory here because I figured that makes it seem like we've put a bit of effort in. Um,
Yeah.
so the first one on
Wikipedia.
dictionary.com.
Was it the
No,
is
no,
it the
I stay
definition
clear of
that popped up on
Wikipedia.
Google?
No, it's from dictionary.com. I didn't
Oh, okay.
I didn't go Wikipedia because any I can waffle there. Anyway,
Yeah.
it says
Wikipedia technology.
a theory that rejects the standard explanation for an event and instead credits a covert group or organization with carrying out a secret plot. The second one is a belief that a particular unexplained event was caused by such a covert group. And then the last
So
one,
like an example would be that Bush did 9/11.
yeah, and the CIA organized JFK's plotting.
And that the world is secretly run by a group of underground lizard
Yeah.
people
Another
who
one that
can
I
stay
saw
black
while I
for
was
that
doing a
long.
little bit of research was the Denver International Airport. That's one we could probably get onto in another episode. But apparently
Yeah.
that's like the hub of the New World Order and those people. Anyway, enough about definitions. So Walt Disney. Graham, do you want to start this one and then we'll just
So basically, it's as simple as the theory is that he died and they froze his body, cryogenically froze his body and kept it encapsulated under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at one of the parks. I'm not so
yeah.
sure which one it is, but and there's like literally no way to support this theory. Like
The only sort of evidence
it's
is that like Walt Disney had this sort of obsession with living forever. Apparently
yeah,
in his
and there's
personal
also
life.
he was obsessed with the future.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, I
let's
think
put it this
if
way. I
you if
think if it
you
was
would,
something that was possible, I think he would definitely be one of the people that would have wanted to do it. But whether or not
oh
it's
yeah,
true. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
so yeah, so that's what I was gonna say is the evidence is basically kind of just that because he loved the future and that he like was fascinated with trying to live as long as possible. People kind of thought that, and also he has the resources. I think that's
That was another big part,
a
yeah. If
big part is that
anyone, it would have
like
been someone like Walt
if
Disney.
anyone could, it would be him.
He was like the Jeff Bezos
Um,
and Elon Musk of all times. Like he was.
yeah, I mean, well, it's Walt Disney, so like Disney literally owned like half the world. Um, And like the obsessions with the future is kind of there's also that thing that people say that that's why they get so many Disney remakes, is that apparently it was a thing of his that he wanted stuff to be remade so that future generations could still see, like, so they would keep up with the times, but the stories still get retold, so that you're not like watching a Bambi movie from like 1980 and 2040. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
So there was
upgrades
like
with
also like,
animation. And I mean, that's
sorry,
probably where that, like, the live action Lion King, it's sort of, as technology progresses, tell the story better.
yeah,
That's
that's
pretty much
literally what
its,
it.
yeah. Um, so yeah, and then, so basically then from that, so obviously there's this conspiracy that he has been frozen and he's under a ride. Now, the conspiracy theory, the conspiracy part of it thickens a little bit when Frozen comes out in 2013.
Yeah,
So now, okay, well, I'll get onto that later because this is my argument as to why this doesn't quite add up. But anyway, so 2013 Frozen comes up. Now, if you search Disney Frozen or anything with
obviously,
those sort of words in it, you're just going to get
yeah.
pages and pages of results about this award-winning musical turned Broadway production. I'm basically quoting the video that I just watched. But yeah, I mean, so they showed like the search results from around like 1999 until like 2001, and you'd search Disney Frozen, and it was just articles dedicated to this conspiracy theory that he was
Yeah,
frozen under a ride at Disneyland. Now, if you search it, you've got to like be a bit more specific in your search terms to find anything about it. Except on YouTube, you just type in Disney conspiracy, and there's a whole bunch of videos about it if anyone's
yeah.
interested. So
They'll tell the story a lot better than we do.
yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
no, wait, don't say that, Graham. Otherwise, they're just gonna click off. No, we tell the story brilliantly. Trust me. um. So yeah. So the story is,
I,
yeah, Walt Disney is
I do
frozen.
know,
Yeah.
I do know that iCarly did a parody of this. You know, iCarly on Nickelodeon, they did a parody
Yeah.
of this where
The
they went
Postmark.
to some theme park looking for some guy's head. Because that's another part of
Yes,
the
that's
theory is
another
that it's
part.
actually just his head.
It could just be his head. It could be his whole body. The theory kind of
I
isn't
mean,
very
I know
well
what I
made.
would do if I could. I would just freeze my head and just get a new body. Because I mean, he was old. If
Yeah, he was a
I was gonna
baddie.
come back, I'd want to come back young.
Yeah.
Like,
So now, like some of
so
the reasons, so the reasons people believe that Frozen, so basically that people believe that Frozen, that musical, Do you want to build a snowman, let it go, we all know. Um, the theory is basically that that was made to bury all this evidence and all this con controversy over Walt Disney potentially being frozen. And the reason people believe that they'd want to do that is because, firstly, Disney is they're very big on their image, like Disney's friendly.
yeah,
Like if you look into it, there's some stories about workers that dress up as like Goofy and whatever, and on the Disneyland things, like even in the case of drowning, they will be taken to a place where the public can't see them before they start CPR because they're not allowed to take their costume off when the public can see. Like it's very, they used
yeah.
to, like back in
It's
the day, they used to edit out cigarettes from Walt Disney's hands because he was a big smoker, and you see photos of him standing like this, and there's just nothing between his fingers. It's quite hectic. So that was one reason why people believe that this could have some sort of validity. Um,
but I feel like there's uh, not that there's easier ways to cover it up, but like
I
it
mean,
seems
yeah,
like a really happy accident that your cover up scheme ended up being
is
one of the biggest
biggest thing.
movies
But
of
I suppose it had
in
to
the
be
last
because
five, 10 years.
it had to completely drown out the search results. So it had to be massive. But if you think about it, Disney's a multi-billion dollar company,
But then
and
why
it's
not release
dropped a
something
few
earlier?
millions. That was my argument that I was
Like
getting into earlier.
why
Why wait till
like they released
2013?
Toy Story, Cars, The Incredible, like why wait then?
No, exactly. That was exactly my question when I was
And
watching all of this. I was just like,
also
if they wanted to do that, they
all
would have done
like
it straight away.
if you're cover it's all you're doing like attempt if it is an attempted cover up, it just brings some validity to the story.
Yeah, and it gives people like us something to talk about on their podcasts.
Yeah.
So we're not
So
complaining. But yeah, I
thanks,
definitely think
thanks
if it
Walt
was a
Disney.
cover up, they would have done it when the internet started. I mean, Disney,
And also,
they understand how
why is
SEO
he
and
the
work.
only one that there's a theory about this? Like, surely there were other like ridiculously rich, famous old white dudes that could have done this.
They probably are, bro. We just didn't look for them.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
But yeah,
but
I
like,
mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think Walt Disney could be frozen under a roller coaster? That was another thing. I was like,
look, why under the ride?
why under the ride? Like, I could understand
Yeah,
if he
like,
was frozen in a lab somewhere. That kind of
yeah,
makes a little bit more
like some
sense.
remote location on some
Whoever
like
comes up with
secret
these
Disney
theories,
island where they're trying to sort this shit out. And
yeah.
also, do you think if it is the case, do you think there's people like working on this, or do you reckon he was kind of just like, "Oh, if it ever happens, someone bring me back"?
I mean, I'd be very surprised if there weren't people working on freezing. I'm pretty sure someone in the comments can maybe tell us. There must be labs out there that are
Yeah,
researching how to freeze brains because they're trying to figure out how to replicate brains in like AI. So
yeah.
that line
So
of research is
basically,
kind of
all of the
ongoing.
scientists in the comments, like, chat to us, tell us how feasible it is,
Yeah,
and
if you're on
if you
Spotify
are
or Apple
working on a top
Podcasts,
secret, if you are working on a top secret mission in a remote location, just let us know.
we'd love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, do expose all when you get axed by the government,
Um,
and we will not take you into hiding though. That's
yeah, we don't have the
yeah,
resources for that, unfortunately.
not at all. And I'm not fighting Disney.
No, definitely not fighting Disney. Um,
And we should probably just disclaim if Disney are watching because we know they are. This is
yeah,
all just
Disney's our biggest
theory.
fan, bro.
It's all theories. We don't believe any of this. We don't condone this.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't believe this one. Although I wouldn't write it off, to be honest. I wouldn't write off
No,
that
I
he's
wouldn't
frozen.
either.
I think the
Disney are
Frozen,
slimy.
them making Frozen to cover it up, I think that's waffle. I think it's waffle.
Yeah,
I
I
think it was
don't
just because
think
it was
Frozen
really
was
easy to
created.
brand something like Frozen, and as has been seen by how successful it was a very good branding move. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, let us know. Maybe we overlooking some of it. Maybe he is frozen under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, but
Okay.
I'm not
And
too
why
sure.
Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, did he even ride Pirates of the Caribbean?
I don't know, Dan.
When did Pirates of the Caribbean come out? Let's find out. Please Google when Walt Disney died.
Okay. Well, also, like, how much was he actually involved in when he got old?
I don't know.
He died in 1966. This O has been dead. So if he wrote Pirates of the Caribbean, they took a really long time to release it.
Okay, Pirates of the Caribbean opened March 18th, 1967, just 3 months after Walt Disney's death, and was the last Disneyland attraction in which the mastermind participated. So he was a part of it.
Okay.
Ma- That that,
Okay. So
that kind of makes it
that,
make a little bit more sense. It was the last thing he was a part of.
and
Oh,
also would have was busy being built when he died.
have I just been
So that makes
censored? I don't know. Maybe
that
it's
that
true.
kind of does like
Hmm.
that answers why Pirates of the Caribbean because it was being built
Yeah.
just when he was
Look
so
at
when he
us
was dead, he was
researching on
still
the
under
fly.
construction.
This is how it
I
should be.
mean, can you would do you expect anything less from the single greatest podcast this side of the equator?
I don't think
Um,
so. Um, okay, so you mentioned that Walt Disney was supposedly died in 1966.
yes.
Um, there's another famous guy that supposedly died in 1966 who's still kicking about today. Um,
Oh
well, I think
yes.
that was a pretty decent little segue there.
That's probably the smoothest segue we've actually ever had on the
That
show.
was that. I think pat on the back there. Well done.
We're
Okay.
talking about the not so late but very great Sir Paul McCartney.
Now,
I don't know if you guys have heard about him.
he was just part of a little
Basically
band.
he sat yeah he wrote some songs and played bass on this really small band called the
It
Beatles. I
was
don't know
like
if you've
this
heard
small
about them.
indie band that like some
Yeah,
boy band in the 60s. Um,
yeah. Basically the paint the walls of their time.
yeah, pretty much.
Um, so yeah, Paul McCartney died apparently um, back in 1966.
During the height of the
Um,
Beatles,
yeah,
before he
the
wrote Hey
story
Jude.
goes. Actually,
Just
yeah, no, he actually wrote it after he died.
yeah, he died before Hey
Yeah,
Jude came, before he wrote Hey Jude. So the imposter. Anyway, carry on.
and
We'll
Let It
get there.
Be. So the story goes that Paul McCartney left Abbey Road Studios one night, and with a fan. That's quite important for something we mention later. Drove in the car crash, dead. Um, and of course, when one of the biggest pop stars in the world dies, the easiest thing to do is cover it up and not mention it to anybody. So the rest of the Beatles just kept quiet, and Paul McCartney was replaced by. I think put it this way: if this is all true, it's got to be the most fantastic coincidental replacement in the
I
world,
mean, they must have
because
had
you
him
have to
lined up.
now find someone who looks exactly like Paul McCartney,
Sounds like Paul
who can sing
McCartney,
exactly like Paul McCartney,
who can
can
like
play guitar
act like
left-handed like
left-handed,
Paul McCartney,
can act like Paul
someone who can
McCartney in interviews.
play someone who plays bass left-handed like Paul McCartney, and someone who can play the piano like Paul McCartney with the songwriting ability of Paul McCartney. Frankly, whoever this lookalike is, he
I mean,
should
he
have just done a
deserves it.
solo run
Let's put it this way:
because
if it's a cover up, fair enough. This guy deserves everything that Sir Paul McCartney has. In fact, if anything,
yeah,
call him Sir. What's it? Billy Shear, I think his name was. The
yeah,
supposed
Billy
cover up.
Shear is apparently
Sir Billy
yeah. So
Shear.
Billy Shear
Who's Paul
and well,
McCartney?
yeah. So Billy Shear is, for those of you who don't know, the Beatles released an album called Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's the
Do you have the Do you have the record
I
there?
have the actual I have it with me. Do you want me to grab it
Don't you
quickly?
want to like pull it up on screen? Yeah,
Yeah, I can grab it.
that saves me having to find a photo of it.
So for those of you who don't know, I collect records, and the Beatles are my favorite band.
We probably could have
So
mentioned that on the music episode.
yeah, so this is the album art. Um, this is the that is so that is those four colorful characters. That is the Beatles. Um, and that's Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And in the song itself of the same name, there's a line right at the end where who I can't actually tell you who sings that song. I don't know if it's John or Paul or both, but he says, I think the lyric is, "Let me introduce to you the one you all came to see, the one and only Billy Shear." So basically, there's that fueled the conspiracy that Paul had been replaced and that they were had mentioned it and
Is that
referenced it
where the
in this
name,
album.
the theoretical name of Billy Shear came from?
There's also something about the album art. I can't actually
I remember there was one
see it.
on the back.
It had
Apparently,
something to do
Paul.
with
What was that?
it had some, it had something to I've only just noticed now that there's a doll on the side that says "Welcome the Rolling Stones."
Hectic.
There was something about a patch on the
Yes,
outfit
on
he's
the thing.
wearing that was
It was like OPD, which is
which
what
was
apparently sound for officially pronounced dead, but it was
yeah
actually OPP for some like Ohio police
yeah
something. Um, also
okay
on that album art at the back, apparently, Paul's pointing at the line Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock or something, which supposedly
um
signifies the time that he died in the like
yeah
was
it's
pronounced dead.
George Harrison is pointing at the line
Oh, George
Wednesday morning
Harrison,
at
sorry,
5
yeah.
o'clock yeah
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot.
yes so I don't know there's George Harrison on screen is to the right because it's obviously mirrored and he's pointing up with his left hand and that's Paul is the only one facing away
So wait,
whereas
is
the
he,
rest of them
George is the one on the one, not the two side, right? Because that's the
this is
left.
George here.
Yeah, that's the left, I think.
Is it not? Okay, on my side it's mirrored.
Okay, yeah, for me it's on the left. I don't know. We'll see
Okay,
how.
so
Okay, well, if it's
this
like
is
that for
George
me,
here.
that's what it's like. Yeah.
That's George. And
George
he's
boy.
pointing. I
Yeah.
think it might be better to get a
A
picture of
picture
it,
of it.
but
I mean, I'm probably not going to
And
do
also
that, to be
Paul,
honest. If I make this a
yeah,
clip, then I'll find a picture for it.
and again, Paul is the only one of the three facing away from the
Yeah,
rest of them, or the only one of the four facing away.
which isn't the only time he
Um,
was the only one doing something on an album, which also
yes,
adds to the fuel to the fire.
we'll get to that one.
Yes, we'll get there
So
later.
I think what I would like, so I think let's go to the origins of where this came from.
Yes, okay.
And so basically, like every conspiracy theory that's built on foundation of facts and brilliant storytelling, there was a guy who phoned in on a radio station and said, "Yo, if you play Revolution 9 backwards,
Yes.
it says um, let me find the actual Turn Me On Dead Man is the yeah Turn Me On Dead Man is so the lyric is number 9 on repeat over and over again. It goes number 9, number 9, number 9. This fan phoned in and said, "Listen, if you play it backwards," and the guy on air played it backwards, and it sounds like "Turn Me On, Dead Man." And there were a lot of clues in various lyrics in various songs. At the end of "Strawberry Fields Forever," John Lennon says, "I buried Paul." What could it all mean?
Isn't that
There's
also something that
um
it's only there if you play it
yeah,
backwards? Wasn't that also a play
yeah that
backwards?
it's number 9 where it says "Turn Me On, Dead Man."
No, but the when he says I buried Paul, isn't that also a part in between things when they play it backwards?
Oh, I
Uh,
not couldn't find anything on that. No,
but you just said there
maybe
was,
something.
I don't know. There were a couple of things where if you played it backwards, it supposedly gave clues, which
Yeah,
I mean that was all the craze back then. I swear people spent their lives just playing records backwards trying to find words and meanings behind it.
yeah. So
Now we've evolved to just throwing
um
shade on Twitter.
yeah, so then so basically the story, yeah, blew his mind out in a car, which is actually a lyric from another Beatles song. Um, then there's George pointing to the line on the Sergeant Pepper sleeve, the OPD patch, which was supposed to be officially pronounced dead. But like the biggest one was the Abbey Road music cover,
Yeah,
which
the
I
famous.
unfortunately don't own the album,
It's the one
but
where they're all walking across the road. You
across
know the
it's
one,
probably the
right?
most iconic, probably the most iconic Beatles album cover.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm gonna pull it up on my phone just so I can talk about everything. So the first thing is what they're all wearing.
yeah.
So John is pictured wearing a full white suit. Ringo in full black. Paul's kind of it's like a charcoal navy grayish sort of color, just also a regular suit. Barefoot though, and then George wearing all denim. So that is that added fuel because in some cultures white is the color of mourning, which is and it's also people believe that John could have also been dressed as a
As
preacher
a preacher, yeah,
slash
I was gonna say that. Like he was
and
like
Ringo
this.
in the all black,
Mm,
the traditional funeral colors, and George in the denim as the gravedigger. And I actually saw a funny comment that someone said even in the conspiracies, George got shafted with all the heavy duty work. And then Paul barefoot because apparently in a lot of cultures that's a thing people do.
it's just like a
Um,
symbol of yeah, like you paint them barefoot.
burying the dead barefoot.
Mm.
He's also walking one. He's out of step with the rest of them. They all are walking. Each one of them is left leg forward. He's got his right leg forward.
He's holding
He's
a cigarette
the only.
as well, isn't he?
He's also holding
I don't know
cigarettes
what
in his
cigarette.
right hand,
Yeah,
but he's left-handed. So that was like also could be
very
somewhat like
likely.
it
Yeah,
could not be him. There's a police van in the background, which is supposed to be like the authorities that kept it quiet. There's a
a mini, or is that a
there's
Beetle?
a it's a Beetle, yeah, a
Beetle. Okay.
VW Beetle
What's the number
with
plate?
the number plate 28IF,
Yes.
and or it was It was some, yeah, the
Yeah, it was
28
28
IF, and
IF
it was
because he would
basically,
have been like 28 if he was still alive. He'd be
yeah,
28 at the time that that was released.
yeah, and he actually would have been 27.
But
So that got debunked immediately.
Graham, you're ruining the conspiracy,
But
bro.
yeah, there was also something about a girl running away, like a girl in a dress running away, but I can't seem to find it. But that's why I mentioned the fan earlier. I don't know if it's maybe on a different album cover, but there was apparently the girl running away from the car crash, and it was supposedly
Was
that
that the
fan.
fan that was in the car, supposedly?
Yeah. Then there was also
Interesting.
something about a broken Beatles sign, which I can't see it here. Again, could have been might have been on the back cover, but it had to do with which was actually um coincidentally probably the most true symbolism out of all of it because the Beatles had already broken up at this point that the album was released. It was their second to last album, but they'd already decided that
It was done.
I think they released this and had already started recording their last one. So that was kind of like okay, coming to an end. But I mean, there's a lot point that the another thing that all of the symbolism points towards, and I think I'm gonna have to ask you to put a photo up for this album cover because it does. I do know a particular picture that like circles all the various aspects,
Yeah.
but
I mean, if you can find it, send it to me. That would just make it a little bit
yeah,
easier.
if not, we'll just edit out this part of the podcast.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Not the whole thing.
Just the
The
way we're
the
talking about putting
we
something
ask you
in.
to yeah. Um, no, so another thing that people need to also take into account and take all of these things with a pinch of salt and the lyrics chucked in and all that is that the Beatles were notorious shit stirrers.
Yes.
Like they were going like especially John, he was a like okay, all of them because remember they were Latis as well.
Yeah, they're in their 20s.
They were shit stirrers.
They were in their
Paul when he
20s
was
with the
told about
world
all
in
of
their
this.
hand. Like,
When he was told about all of this, he was fine. He's like, listen, they say you're dead. He's like, I don't agree with that very much.
but
He
there
was
was
in
also a
Scotland
quote
at the
where
time
they
on
told him
holiday.
he was dead, and he was like, "Well, if I was dead, I'd be the last one to know."
Yeah. So he was in Scotland with his wife and his kid. And they were like, you need to talk about this. He was like, no, it's the best publicity we've had in a long time. Like let them let them he's like the only thing I have to do is focus on staying alive.
Pretty
So
much. Like,
and like we spoke earlier that if they had replaced him,
that's world
they've done
class.
it. They did a really good
That's
job.
a banger job.
Like
Especially for the O's to
because
not go crazy and crack, but because he's still knocking about now. Made a song with
yeah, I mean
Kanye a few years ago.
he he released a new album in
Yeah,
2018.
the man's still
Like
knocking about big all the time. He's still very much
yeah,
involved in
he's
the music industry. What a legend.
completely.
But yeah, I
So
mean, if he's not
kudos
Paul
to the
McCartney, that
lookalike.
poor guy has had to live his whole life
Yeah,
pretending to be someone else.
to be,
I think I would have
yeah.
gone insane and said, "No, fuck it, man. It wasn't the so. This was pegged. It's me, Billy
But
Shears."
yeah, imagine the poor guy trying to come on and say, "Yo, it wasn't Paul. I mean, it's me, Billy Shears.
It's
I did it
me.
all."
Especially now, they're
Um,
gonna be like, "Nah,
there's
waffle."
also that bit about I said I buried Paul. The lyric I buried Paul. What could it all mean? Whatever. Because apparently someone was questioned about it, and they said it was John was like whoever wrote the lyric or recorded it was like no um he meant like I buried like my guitar buried him like in the background. So again, shit stirrers. They knew what
Like,
they were doing.
it's taking the piss.
There's one of I think it's at the end of I'm the Walrus. It ends with a live broadcast of a fatal scene from Shakespeare's King Lear, where with Oswald groaning, "Oh, untimely death." That is true. That is at the end of the song, but John just taped it and liked the way it fits into the song, so he just kept it at the end. And and then there's another song called Glass Onion where John sings, "Here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul." So
They,
again,
it was one of those like the rumor came out, and it sounds like they were just like,
the thing
right,
is that
let's keep
it's
people
so
talking about
blatant.
this until 2021. We still want people to be talking about it then, and then they
Yeah,
fucking smashed it.
yeah, it's blatant. It's getting to that point where if they were trying so hard to cover it up, like they wouldn't be dropping clues.
Yeah,
But if they
but
wanted,
that's always been
if
something that like gets to me is when people say, "Oh, this person leaked this information about this cover." I'm like, if it was a cover up, they're not going to voluntarily go on an interview and tell people these things. They're not going to drop clues in their
dude,
art and their songs and their videos. Why the fuck would they do that if
if
it was supposed to
if
be a
someone
secret?
started a theory, if someone started a theory tomorrow that I died and I've been replaced by a lookalike on this podcast, I'll print my death certificate up there. Like,
Okay, that's the thing.
I'll
Graham's
like,
dead.
I'll throw fuel on the fire
Okay,
because that's
I'm gonna make a keeping
literally
it
the
blunt
best thing you can
Twitter.
do in the situation.
I'm gonna make a keeping it blunt Twitter after this and just be like,
I
Graham's
can't hear
dead.
you.
Can't you? Can you hear me now?
No, I got you now. Got you now. Got you now.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a keeping it blunt Twitter after this, and that's gonna be the start of the Twitter. I'm gonna be like, Graham's dead. Pass it on.
Nah,
Start
dude.
the
You.
rumor.
Oh, yeah, okay. On a. Yeah. Don't do it on your personal Twitter.
No,
People
no,
might
no.
actually believe it.
I'll retweet it on. Yeah, I'll retweet it on my thing from the
Next thing.
event.
My mother's phoning my roommates, asking me what the hell's wrong with me.
Or just
I
send
mean,
her
I
a
should
message
probably
after
tell
this
them.
saying
I should
like,
probably.
listen, if you see anything about me being dead, it's a meme. It's not true.
Yeah, it's a joke. I'm not dead.
It's like me saying I'm an optician in my bio. I'm not an optician.
I'm an
Um,
optician.
no, I'm an optician. Come at me. Opticians Federation. If you don't watch Happy Hour or listen to Happy Hour, that's gonna make no sense to you, but shout out Stevie, we know you're watching this, bro.
Yeah. And if you are, get in touch. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah, that would be great. We need some tips. Graham's trying to be the next
And
Stevie
if
White, and
if
he's
Billy Shears is listening and you want to tell your story,
please
um,
go no look
happy
no
to do it.
further. Guys, my eyes are
We'll
so
even
itchy.
we'll,
Fucking marital
we'll
leave.
even play the intro. We'll play an intro at the start, welcoming Billy Shears onto the pod.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll get
because
the.
he deserves to tell his story.
I think yeah. Let's start a movement, guys. We need Billy Shears to come forward and
Hashtag
tell the
free Billy
truth.
Shears.
He deserves all the recognition that Paul McCartney's got over the years. It should be Sir Billy Shears, not
Yeah,
Sir Paul McCartney. Um,
yeah.
we're talking absolute shit now. Is there anything else on the
Hashtag
Paul
free Billy Shears.
McCartney? Um, is there anything? Is there anything more? Um,
Um,
with
I think
regards to
that about
this?
covers it all.
Yeah, I think so too.
He basically all you know is that Paul McCartney's dead
Yeah,
and
he got replaced by a
Billy
lookalike
Shears.
overnight, and
Literally, you guys need to understand this is literally like Post Malone dying and being replaced and nobody knowing about it.
yeah, pretty much. And that's
Like,
that's a tough one to pull off, but it's yeah, that's a very good comparison considering, as we mentioned in the last episode, Post Malone recently broke the Beatles' long-standing record.
and if you don't know that, you're a pagan,
Because you haven't listened to our last podcast, so go back and listen to
literally.
that after this, because now it's alien time.
Wait,
Wait,
I wanted to
okay,
chat about something else that I've just thought about.
okay, let's do it. I'm down.
So that I've got no info on this, but I know
That's
that
fine.
it's not the only instance of people apparently dying and not being dead.
We're talking about Avril
There's
Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, Tupac.
Oh
Those are the two
yes,
that come to mind straight away. There's Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain's not dead. He appeared on the Brazilian. I think it was Brazil's Got Talent or like the Brazilian X
yeah, I
Factor or
saw that, but the
something.
guy literally plays guitar right-handed in that video.
Yeah, the Nirvana official Facebook page replied to it as like, "Yes, guys, you caught us. Kurt died. Kurt disappeared for a while to learn the guitar, to learn to play
Yeah,
guitar right-handed because
and
left-handed guitars are too expensive."
yeah, and they just decided to can the band in the prime of their career, and
Yeah,
yeah, because they were planning the whole time for Dave Grohl to start the Foo
you
Fighters.
know,
We just made a
we
new
should actually
conspiracy.
chat about that quickly.
What?
We know enough to chat
That's
about
a
that
very
quickly.
good conspiracy. Yes. So conspiracy number three. We said we were only
A
going to talk
secret,
about
an
two.
added bonus conspiracy for you guys, thanks
For
to
those of
Dane and
you who
my
made it
ADD
this far,
skills
you
in
the
the
real
advanced
ones.
podcast.
The ones that made it this far are the real ones. You deserve
Yeah, and you
all the
deserve to
extra
hear the truth.
sauce. So,
And the truth is, Courtney Love murdered Kurt Cobain.
as simple as that, guys.
Not a
Honestly,
it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact.
it is fact. Okay, so let's get into it quickly. So the official story of Kurt Cobain's death is he blew his head off with a shotgun in his
While
place.
simultaneously overdosing on heroin.
Yes, so he was. So it was very well known that he had a heroin problem. That was no secret to anyone. Um, so obviously it made it very easy to sort of set this whole little story up. But now the evidence. Let's get into it. The first thing,
So yeah,
we're not even going to talk about how many drugs were in the system. To practice,
yeah.
like it was a
Let's
full
just
length
let's
double
just
barrel
glaze
shotgun. Apparently he
let's
put it
glaze
under his
over the
chin.
fact. Yeah, we'll just quickly go over the fact that the doctors reckoned he had too much heroin in his body to even have the strength to pull the trigger, let alone hold a
Double
double barrel
barrel
shotgun to
shotgun.
his chin.
Like they said that he would have been passed out with that amount of heroin
Yeah,
inside him. But now he's managed to put that much heroin in his body, pick up a freaking double barrel shotgun, which I can. Kurt was probably about my level of skinniness when he died. He couldn't pick
well, he
up.
was a heroin addict, then. You're
Yeah, he
giving
probably.
yourself too much credit.
um, he probably couldn't have picked up the gun sober. Like those things are heavy. I probably couldn't pick up the gun sober. Now he's gone and positioned it under his chin and managed to pull the trigger to blow his head into the ceiling. Nah, nah, fam. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And the reason that Courtney Love would have done it was because then she got all the fame. She got all the attention. She was an
She
attention-seeking whore. Still is. She still is.
I mean,
Bitch.
there's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame incident where literally, I think it's where I don't know if it's Nirvana or Kurt himself that gets inducted. I think it's
No,
Nirvana
Nirvana got
because
inducted. Yeah.
it's
Dave and
Dave and
Chris were
Chris on
there.
stage, and they're literally like staring daggers through Courtney Love while she's talking on Kurt's behalf,
It was, yeah,
and it's kind of like, why are you here? You murdered him.
like, get the
Um,
fuck off the stage.
so she's got she's got motive. I wouldn't know who Courtney Love is if it wasn't for the fact that she murdered Kurt Cobain and she did that one song with
With
Fall
Fall
Out
Out
Boy.
Boy. Yeah, I was gonna say. It's the only other thing I've
Um,
ever heard of her doing.
besides the notebook with practicing Kurt's handwriting for the suicide notes.
That was another thing. Yes, I forgot about that. There was literally in a, geez, like the evidence is
In her
unreal.
handbag, she had like pages and pages of
Like
her
just the
practicing
alphabet.
Kurt's handwriting and signature to, and the suicide note is in like the handwriting changes like halfway through.
I mean, it's almost as if like the real conspiracy is that Courtney Love got framed. That would be a
Yeah,
conspiracy theory. This is just like, I don't understand how
if
she
some
didn't get, how. There
if
must have
someone
been
had
other
to come
evidence we
out
don't know about that just made it clear.
if someone had to come out and say the conspiracy theory is that he killed himself, there'd be more evidence. There's put it this way: there's more evidence supporting the fact that she killed him than there is to.
Say that he killed himself.
This is probably the one instance of the conspiracy theory having more weight supporting the conspiracy than the
The actual
actual
story.
outcome of the
Yeah.
investigation.
I mean, because everyone knew he was very depressed and whatever.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
problem
like,
is that the problem is that Kurt Cobain was not the greatest role model in
no.
the eyes of the people in charge. He was a great role model in what he stood for.
Yes, but his way of
He,
presenting what he stood
he was
for
a
wasn't
feminist
exactly,
before it was cool,
yeah. It was just the way he
and
presented it to the public was very
he was just yeah,
anti.
he's just damaged. He's an
Yeah.
artist struggling in a world that he didn't feel like he belonged in it. So the evidence was there to suggest he could have killed himself.
Yes.
And in my personal opinion, my because I'm an expert, I reckon he probably wasn't far off it.
No, probably not at all. Otherwise, I don't think the
But
story would have flown.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he was perhaps coerced. If
So
he did
maybe
do
he
it,
did do it, but it wasn't his idea.
Yeah.
That's a good point actually. I never
But-
thought of it that way. Either way, it was Courtney Love, and she's a fucking bitch. Don't at me.
And I also think like I think he was. I know that he did like he low key felt some like guilt because he knew the world was a messed up place, and when he was when Nirvana like came into the he was asked about having kids or something, and he basically said, "Why would anybody bring a child into a messed up world like this?" And then he had a kid,
Yeah,
and I do remember reading somewhere that he was like, there was always this like kind of like feeling low key
like a
guilty
hypocrite.
for yeah, and just struggling with
The fact
yeah,
that he's
he was just like deeply troubled. If you
mm,
go and read his story, it's actually weird. Not weird, it's like it's sad.
sad.
He was just like constant, and the fans didn't help because his Nirvana fans were hypocrites. Literally, I think is it In Bloom
Yeah,
that was written literally to like take the piss out of the fans who are hypocrites. And like the stuff he wanted, like the what was there was the one show they wanted them to do live, and they were gonna make them lip sync it, so that
it was
Nirvana just
MTV
stuffed up
Unplugged.
the song. On purpose.
I think it
No,
was.
no,
Uh,
no. Unplugged, they did properly. Unplugged.
I thought that they
That was
wanted
another.
them to do that lip synced.
No, no. There's a. It's only one
Oh
song.
yes, okay, I remember that
It
one. Yeah,
smells
yeah,
like
yeah.
Teen Spirits that they butcher on purpose because they
Because
were asked
asked
to
to
lip
lip
sync
sync
it.
it.
So, and I think they actually are like they're playing over them, and the band just goes rogue and stuffs it up. Um, MTV Unplugged is actually was recorded not long before he killed himself, allegedly.
Yeah,
No, okay. The official story was he killed himself. The alleged story is Courtney Love did it.
yeah.
Again, disclaimer, allegedly. Courtney, please don't kill us. Um,
Yeah, pretty please fuck it
but
up.
then so MTV Unplugged was actually recorded very short, and it's for those of you who have never seen it before. Firstly, get out from underneath your rocks, and secondly, found it on YouTube. I think the whole show is up there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's an acoustic performance, but they point to that being this whole stage set up there because he's like surrounded by candles. It's super eerie.
Mm,
Like he does an incredible cover of "Man Who Sold the World" by David Bowie.
yeah, that's a big one.
Um,
It was a flipping
yeah,
massive performance, bro. I mean, we speak
yeah.
about this shit like we were alive. We literally, this was like
Oh,
94.
I've got the vinyl. It's
Yeah, it's
hectic.
mad. Um,
Um,
okay, I think we've gone past the conspiracy
but
part of
enough
things
fangirling
there.
over Kurt
Yeah,
Cobain
I've been
because we could
fangirling over
literally
him
be
for a
here for
while.
hours.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about aliens for 15 minutes or so, Graham.
Um,
And
I want to start this off with
okay,
something I said to you about 6 years ago, 7 years ago,
testing my
grade
memory.
9 or 10, I think.
Yes.
When we were on a farm watching the stars, and I turned to you and I said, "Bade, have you ever thought, what if the stars are eyes?"
Yes, I remember this.
And we, I don't know if we discussed it then or just left it and discussed it
At
another
another
time.
time, not really
And
relevant.
I must preface this that we were stone cold sober at this point.
Yeah.
We're just ADD or ADHD and weird. This shit just happened, okay?
We just talk about things.
And I went on a tangent about how basically likened our everyday life to the Lego movie and The Sims,
Mm.
and that we all live in someone is controlling us and just
So here's
like
another
almost like a
conspiracy. We just can't stop here.
yeah. Well, I mean,
We are, I mean, but on
it could
that
be
one's one that I think if you,
extraterrestrials.
like, if you write off the whole we're in a video game thing, you just aren't paying attention. Because 20 years ago, video games were like two lines with a dot and you just bounce them between each other. Now there's full on
Yeah.
VR where you can walk around. That's 20 years. Imagine what the next 20 years. Nah. I think that's probably one of the conspiracy theories that has the most potential to be true. But anyway, carry on.
Well, I was gonna say like what we don't know what's like we know what's out there, but we also don't. We
We
haven't
haven't
there's
even
like
explored half of our ocean, let alone space. Like they keep
and
telling us
not
how
just
big
that,
space
it's like
is.
if there's what my I'll be honest, I don't believe this theory that we are being like controlled by some alien overlords
I also
who
don't
are
believe
constantly
it,
looking at us at night
but
and only at night.
I also don't think it's
Um,
impossible.
yeah, I don't personally believe it,
Yeah.
but it was just a thought that came to me 6 years ago, and I thought, at some point I might have to tell the world about this. So here we are. Um, but that's, I think, just eases us into aliens. And first, I think the easiest thing is to just ask you where you stand.
Um, I'd like to believe that they exist, bro. Like aliens
Um,
or whatever you define alien, it depends. Like it might not be life that
I
we
think it would be
recognize, but something that's the thing is, I don't think
there.
we'll be able to conceptualize what an alien is. I think we are far
I
too
think the
arrogant to
easiest.
think that we'd be able to even see them.
I think my standing is. I think it's incredibly naive to believe that we are the only form of living something
Yeah, that has any
in the
interest in anything that's
entirety.
not around them.
No, like taking away the added thing that people always like to chuck in when it comes to aliens is they always think about intelligent life. Take that out of it.
Yeah,
Okay. I think it's incredibly naive to believe that we're the only form of living thing in
yeah.
this entire universe.
And I think the main reason
Whether
we do
that
it
is
is
what
because,
aliens are, whether that's what aliens are, different story.
like,
And whether aliens, as we perceive them as these little green men floating around and flying, so like another thing is why are flying saucers? Like
yeah,
why? Because have you ever? Why, if they're so fantastic, why don't
why?
we use them?
Yes, that was my next question. If they're
And
so great, why the fuck are we making
at no
spaceships?
point in our history of aviation has that ever been a successful method of flight. So even if the aliens are, let's say, 50 years behind us, why would they use that? Because we never have.
Yeah. And okay, so I think the problem that humans have is we try and this argument's based on intelligent life and life as we've defined it ourselves. Like,
Yeah,
as in breathing oxygen, reproducing. What if, like, I think it's so arrogant to assume that we are the baseline of intelligence in the universe. I mean,
yeah.
every day they're saying
Well,
how it's expanding. Well, why the fuck would we be first? There's as
what
much
if
evidence
there's
that
like
we're first as anyone else was first, if there's anyone
there's
else.
what if I mean you mentioned we haven't even explored the ocean yet. There's areas of the Amazon that have still got untapped. Like people don't go there because there's literal tribes and civilizations who've never seen
Other
other
people.
people.
I mean,
Like,
w- yeah, like humans who discount aliens and life outside of this planet, I just think are so naive. I really do.
well,
Like, I look at you like, you don't have to believe that they exist and they're watching us and they're right here, but just categorically say that there's nothing out there. You can't. You just fucking
yeah. I
can't.
know Elon Musk was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he kind of dismissed the question as it's kind of like he doesn't care.
Hmm.
Um, but he just said, and it's I don't want to say it out of context because it in the interview it doesn't sound as bad as it sounds just as a single line. But he basically said if there was something, he'd know. And I think he was talking in our immediate
From
solar
what we've
system.
explored, like from what
Yeah,
we have,
yeah.
like
So
what we're researching at the moment, we don't know of anything.
yeah, so Joe Rogan was kind of asking more on the front of it being covered up and
Okay,
like the government hiding
yeah,
things.
that's
And
so it's
Elon
more
was kind
like
of saying if something was being hidden,
he would
like
have found it by
so
now.
not necessarily that he would have yeah, so if the government was hiding something, he's got the technology to find it out on his own, basically,
Yeah.
which he does. Like
So
he's
it's one
sending
of
people to
those,
Mars.
like, if there are people that know things that are alive in our solar system, he would be one of those people, and he doesn't know of it.
Yeah,
So as far as we know as humans, there's nothing else out there because we haven't seen it, which is fair enough.
yeah,
So technically, we can't say that there is anything because we haven't seen it. But to say that there's definitely not something, it's tough when you haven't seen
yeah. It's
99.9% of it.
yeah. It's one of those. But I mean, there's also so many stories of people seeing
So
things and
that
stuff
we
that's just
know.
like that can't be explained. I won't say that's unexplainable, but is yet to be explained. Is probably
Hmm. But
again the people who can explain it probably just don't care enough to explain it.
yeah, the thing is, I think if there's ever anything that would interest the public, it would get out there. I mean, okay, wait, there's a story with like the CIA releasing documents on UFOs and stuff. That's supposed to be coming out soon. That'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see because
I know
that's
the
just like,
CIA tends to release a lot of classified shit that ends up being quite juicy. So
yeah. I mean, wasn't that part of like last year during the whole COVID thing? There was just a whole bunch of things that were happening that no one was even talking about because everyone was just bitching about
yeah,
lockdown. And I think that was one
yeah,
of them. Like they said that they were releasing all of these files on UFOs, whether they're aliens or just other countries that they can't identify them or track them down to. They don't fucking know.
yeah.
Or it's
Because that's
unidentified
another
flying
thing. Is like,
objects. That's what UFO means. It doesn't
yeah,
mean alien spaceship.
yeah.
It could be a drone.
Yeah. It could literally just be drones.
Yeah.
It could be like, and unfortunately, it's like if anybody's trying to test out any type of flying technology that's new, if it gets like if the CIA are working on like a new drone or like stuffing around with new plane ideas for like super secret missions or whatever, if no one's seen it before and you just see this thing flying past, you're gonna think, wow, well that's
What is
new.
it?
Never
Yeah.
seen that before. It's flying. It's an object. Don't know what it is. It's a
Unidentified flight.
UFO.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is. I do want to know what's going on at Area 51 though. Like, there must be something happening there. I think it's probably more military related. Like, I think it is a
Yeah,
military
it's
base.
definitely
It's definitely military related.
yeah.
It's probably like nuclear bomb related. Um, something
It's
more
it's
dangerous.
probably something that America hopes to never have to use.
Yeah, and I think we all
Um,
hope they never have to use.
listen, I will. If America come rolling in, we're not fighting, are we?
Bro.
I'll don the red, white, and blue very quickly.
Yeah, listen. I'll go to Switzerland.
Nah, dude.
Oh,
If a war breaks out, we're fully on Russia and China's side.
oh yeah, bro, we want to be on the winning team here. Let's get real.
No,
Russia,
we don't have a choice. Then South Africa is so far like so indebted to Russia and China
bro, I'm just
that
as
we
much
will
English as
we
I am South African at this point. I think I'll have the 50-50 split. But I think I'll go Russia,
yeah
China. Russia, China's going to win that one if it comes down to it now.
yeah.
Are Russia and China friends?
Sorry.
Are Russia and China friends, or do they also not really like each other?
Well, they're both communist countries,
Okay,
so
so they have similar
I mean they've got
political
that in common.
regimes.
Sorry.
So they have similar political regimes. Does that mean that they are, I wonder, maybe they're competitors? Who can be the worst
I
communist
mean,
country?
I think it's one of those things that they've got a mutual enemy, which is always. I
Capitalism
mean,
and the
the English and
Americans.
the French aren't mates, but when Uncle Adolf was rolling through, they were like, "Yo, we better sort this out." So
Fair enough. Might not be friends, but when it comes down to it, America is the common enemy. What do you guys think of America? People listening at this point, if you're still listening at this point, you guys deserve a medal. Um, yeah, what do you think? Is America on their way out? Do you think do you think they might have a comeback? I think they've chalked it.
you t- they're not a band.
I know.
Their latest album hasn't been the best, but I think they could make a comeback with a new
Yeah,
song.
that whole Donald Trump season was a bit boring.
Hey.
That whole Donald Trump season kind of just took them to the mud, eh?
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully with season Joe it picks up a bit. I mean, he's already bombed another place,
yeah, I
so
saw that. Bro, I saw the funniest meme. It was like Republicans, and it's just like a plane dropping bombs, and then it's like Democrats. It's a plane dropping bombs with stickers that say Black Lives Matter and like a rainbow sticker and stuff on
I
it.
saw I
Which is
saw
better
the
still, I
another one
think.
as well. And it was like immigrants when it comes to voting. It's like, do we vote for the Republicans who bomb us? Vote for the Democrats who bomb us.
Oh, America's so fun.
American politics is fun.
It's like I consider it a TV show at this point. America as it's as a whole. Sorry, Nikki, if you're listening. I'm sure you're going to do fantastically over there, but yeah, America
And
is a comedy show to me.
and we say that with all the respect in the world, America. Please don't hate us.
And if any of you want to sponsor us from America, hit us up. We're great friends. We talk good
And we're
shit.
cheap because we're South African.
Yeah, you can pay us fuck all. We just want to be able to pay to put this on Spotify. That's all we need at the moment.
Literally $20 a month.
Yeah,
It's not $20 a month, but
we'll take
we
$20 a
still
month so
love
we can
some.
have. Um.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there anything else
So
about aliens? Yeah, basically, I think they probably are knocking about. They probably don't look like what they look like in the movies. We probably can't see or hear them. They're probably
and
fucking there. We just don't know.
this my
We might not
this is
know.
my thought on it. It's if they have the capabilities of getting to us, they would have by now. And if they wanted
The thing
to,
is
they
that
would
if
have by
they've
now.
gotten to us, they are
They,
so
the thing
much
is,
more advanced than us.
no, but what's stopping like some civilization and a planet like billions of light years away just being like a group of like nomadic cavemen just vibing around a fire every night, telling stories about, I don't know, like some random animal they saw earlier.
I
The,
mean,
the the concept of
God
aliens
was
don't
really
have
better
to
when we
be
were like that.
like the concept of aliens doesn't have to be like the super futuristic world where they like teleporting and changing their bodies into like molecules to move from one area to the other. It could just be guys vibing around a campfire,
You make a very good point, bro. And it
cracking
might
some
not be a
sticks against the
campfire.
rocks.
You never know. There could be a planet where water and fire
Camp water.
conflict. Yeah. Like the water's just floating up there and then you have seas of fire. We don't know these things. That's the beauty of it. I mean, we're literally just like little specks of dust. Sorry if any of you guys felt like you were sick shit, but at the end of
You're
the
really
day,
not.
yeah, from dust, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we literally mean fuck all. That
Indeed.
being said,
We're
this
all
podcast is
insignificant
very important, so you should like and subscribe and come back in
and
what,
share
maybe
it.
2 weeks and tell all your friends to listen to us too. Um, Graham, should we think about wrapping that up there? Here? I don't think there's much.
I think so. I think it's
Guys,
come to a screeching halt.
it has. Guys, thank you very much for listening. If you make it this far, you're one of our friends. We love you.
You're the real ones.
Um,
If you've made it this far, go paint the walls a follow on Instagram.
yes, guys, actually, fuck following us on Instagram. Just play our song on Spotify and Apple Music as many
Yeah.
times as you can between the time you wake up and go to bed. If you use
And
TikTok, make
I'm saying
TikToks
it
with it.
now so that he doesn't have a choice. Go watch the clips on YouTube. They'll be out shortly.
Someone, we're still waiting on a thumbnail artist. Anyone, hit me up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sick. Cheers. I'm just gonna end it right there.
Cheers. Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.